So, what kind of a machine is it, this computer, which can tackle such an enormous diversity of tasks and come to the right answer with such lightning rapidity? This is the first of many questions which we shall put to Dr. B.V. Bowden, the principal of the Manchester College of Science and Technology.
This is a typical small modern commercial computer. It cost about £35,000, or you could hire it for something like £20 an hour. It runs off an ordinary mains plug, and it's capable of doing something like 1,000 calculations every second. If you want to go for something a little fancier, you can get it for perhaps £60,000 or £70,000. That is a much larger machine than this one. But if you're really ambitious, you can pay as much as £2.5 million for a machine, and remember that's twice as much as a Comet airliner. This is Atlas, the largest machine that has yet been built in England. It's being built for a government establishment. It is, of course, enormously more powerful than this one. It works faster, it will do half a dozen things at once, and it has an enormously larger memory.
Nevertheless, this computer here is capable of pretty sophisticated work. We're grateful to Ferranti for setting it up in the studio for us, and for providing Mrs. Valerie Harris to work it for us, or rather, to program it, to give her her proper title of computer programmer. Now, exactly how can we think of how a computer works, Dr. Bowden?
Well, this computer is like all others to some extent. In other words, if it has to be supplied with two sets of information. It has to be told what it is to do with the numbers, and it also has to be supplied with numbers to work with. Now, supposing we're going to do something very simple, like multiplying 6 by 7. First of all, we feed 6 into the machine. And then, immediately thereafter, we have to say multiply by 7. Now, this involves two numbers, a 3, which will come up here and is a sign for multiply by, and 7 is a number we're going to use for multiplying. Press the button and immediately multiply. Again, again, as fast as you can go. Now, that is perhaps multiplying, say, 6 or 7 times a second. Under normal circumstances, the machine will be fed with information from this punched tape, which will go into the reader, as we shall see in a moment, and the machine will be performing numerical operations not 6 or 7 times, but 1,000 times every second.
All right, then, we've seen how the computer is operated from the console, either by tapping numbered keys or by feeding in a punched tape, as it were, in code. But now, Dr. Bowden, what about the works?
Well, this is the back of the computer, and all these panels here are like this one, which shows a large number of little electronic components which are capable of switching pulses from place to place. This machine switches pulses about in much the same sort of way as an abacus switches the little beads about on its wires. And this unit here, a much larger and bulkier one, is a memory. It's a store. And the pulses circulate round and round in that nickel wire at the speed of sound in the wire, and when they come out, they're transmitted electrically from place to place in the machine with the speed of light.
Now, they stay going round in here for as long as required?
As long as required. They can be remembered there until such time as the machine has to use them. And it is because of this that the machine has its extraordinary speed. The speed of calculation of these machines is really quite prodigious, and one must get it into perspective. We are used to the idea that the cosmonauts going round the Earth do so at 20,000 miles an hour, which is 5,000 times as fast as a man is walking at 4 miles an hour. But this machine, which, as I said, is a simple one, relatively speaking, will do arithmetic about at least 1,000,000 times as fast as you or I could do it with pen and paper.
But even this incredible rapidity at arithmetic doesn't account for its ability to do the sort of things we've just
No, by
seen.
no means. The machine is capable of doing logical operations as well as arithmetic operations, and a very elementary demonstration of this is set up here. The machine has now got in its store a series of numbers which have been chosen quite at random, and we're going to ask it to sort them into ascending order of size, and it will do this by comparing one number with the next, and having made the comparison, it will then set them out in order. And Mrs. Harris will now set the machine in motion, and you'll see in a moment it now has completed its task, and the numbers are set out in order of size. This is a trivial operation, but it illustrates the point.
Now, this, in fact, was not just a mathematical calculation. You suggest it was a process of logic.
Indeed it was.
Well, now, if a computer is capable of logic, then this clearly, of course, opens up the most exciting avenues. And we can make this even more clear, I think, in another demonstration which we have set up at the far end of the studio with a similar type of computer. Kneeling by the apparatus is Mr. Ken Chisholm, one of the English electric engineers responsible for the development of this computer, KDN2, which is going to be programmed for us by Mr. Turner. Mr. Chisholm, what is the purpose of this demonstration?
It illustrates some of the basic principles involved in industrial automatic control.
And how do you do that with a model railway?
Well, you can make up any train of 4 carriages in any sequence you like to specify.
I see. So presumably the first step is to tell the computer what the present state of play is.
Yes. Now, we've got to feed into the computer the carriages on the train at the moment, which is 1, 2, and 3 in that order.
And you see how simply this information is fed in by Mr. Turner. And the sidings?
Yes, we need those as well, which is carriages 4, 5, and 6.
Now, from that information, this train can build itself up in any order which I require.
Yes.
Right. Well, now, we've given it, during trial runs, just about every conceivable combination. We'll try and make it as difficult as possible this time. 2 is the middle one on the train, so we'll start with that. 4 is in the siding, so we'll have that. Then another one off the train, say 3. And then another one out of the siding, 5. So let's have 2, 4, 3, 5. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Now, what's happening over there?
Well, the computer is reporting via the electric typewriter on the sequence that you've asked for.
And it's got it right, 2, 4, 3, 5. Meantime, you see the train has stopped itself. Remember, there's nobody driving this train by remote control except the computer. Now, what's it going to do?
Well, it's going to couple up with the trucks in the siding 3, very gently, as you see.
Beautifully driven.
Yes. And we'll push them up here onto the uncoupling ramp.
Now, by doing this, of course, it's catered for every possible sequence which we might have asked for. It's got the lot.
It's got the lot now, yes.
Mm-hmm. And it goes up on the ramp to start the shunting process. You notice how it slows down to take the corner. Right, now what's it going to do with 6, then?
Well, we don't want 6, so it puts it in siding 3 out of the way.
And it switches the points itself. Number 5 we do want. Number 4 we want later, so that goes down the middle one. This, of course, is a very, very efficient model. What happens if something goes wrong?
Well, in certain cases, it's self-correcting. Like
Mr. Turner stops a truck in the most difficult possible place, right on a point. And there's the answer.
Yes.
Oh, the little shunter decided it didn't want another push anyway.
Yes, some bucket builders.
Well, now, let's see. It's got 2 wagons right and 2 to go, so it collects the 2 spare ones. It's got to bring those all the way back,
yes, right.
Which is an opportunity for me to say that although, of course, the railway is a toy, the computer is anything but a toy. In fact, it's been bought by the Western region of British Railways for the control of real railway wagon utilization as opposed to shunting. It's estimated that it will save British Railways jolly near £2 million for an investment of only £25,000, which is a pretty staggering demonstration. The train is now in the right order, 5, 3, 4, 2, not stationary in the station. And now, presumably, that is the end of the exercise. Oh, that was a dirty trick. Mr. Turner uncouples one of the wagons. Let's see what happens. The train stops and reports. Now, let's see what it's got to say for itself. Someone's pinched a truck. So now, the train goes back. Supposing that truck weren't there, Mr. Chisholm, would it still keep on coming back?
It will go back to find it a number of times, about 4 times, and then give up.
It would give up by itself?
Well, there's not much point in doing it more than 4 times.
And now it's away. Well, there we are. Surely a classic demonstration of the power of logic demonstrated by a computer. A very complex and difficult problem. Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed.